Let's talk about them goofy ass schools, shall we? Yeah, remember that domestic terrorism letter that was sent, oh boy, what was that, October? Maybe even November of last year? Yeah, the ones who were like, oh yeah, any teachers that are out there, or I'm sorry, any parents that are out there protesting the school board meetings, and it's like they're questioning the agenda, and we really, really want to indoctrinate their kids. But now they're starting to push back, and if they do that, and if there's any violence or harassment that happens, we'll just deal with them accordingly by labeling them all terrorists. In salam Allah, my friend. But now Congress and these emboldened Republicans, let's see how long that lasts for, are starting to ask for answers, because you got Miguel Cardona. He's finally gonna have to start answering for some of this shit, because he's skated long enough, and judging by the size of him, he's been skating on some rather thick ice, so hopefully he's getting a little bit closer to the shore for, ease of questioning, as it were. House Republican leaders are demanding that Education Secretary Miguel Cardona explain, among other things, his involvement in the letter that notoriously advocated for the use of the FBI to quell parents protesting at local school board meetings. From the very beginning, the targeting of concerned parents has been nothing short of a witch hunt orchestrated by partisan demagogues in the White House, Department of Justice, and the Department of Education. North Carolina Representative Virginia Foxx, the top Republican on the House Education Committee, said, because Congress hasn't been busy enough uncovering different emails, there was a new one that surfaced from the National School Boards Association, obtained a publicized by pro-parental rights groups, Parents Defending Education. The emails appear to show that the NSBA's September 2021, I didn't go back far enough, my mistake, a letter asking the Biden administration to treat disruptions at school board meetings as a form of domestic terrorism was crafted at Cardona's request. Interesting, because there was also a conflict of interest from Merrick Garland, the Attorney General. Okay, there was something that was there, and now this letter came at the request of Cardona? Interesting. In what Fox described as a New Age McCarthyism, why do you gotta say that it's such a pejorative? McCarthy didn't go far enough. The letter prompted Attorney General Merrick Garland to issue a memo directing the FBI to help address the alleged disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence, which again has yet to materialize. But au contraire, we have more evidence of that definitely happening against teachers and school leaders. The memo remains in effect even as the NSBA has apologized for and retracted the widely criticized letter. So why is it still enforced? Oh, okay, yeah, because they achieved their desired goals. Okay, so why do they need to have any evidence, huh? They can just, wash their hands of this and just walk away. It is abundantly clear to me that Secretary Cardona must answer to the Education and Labor Committee, Congress on the whole, and especially the American people. Anything less is an insult to the proud parents who want a better education for their children. Oh, if they actually want that, private schools or homeschooling. Anyways, in a separate letter sent to Cardona, Fox, alongside Kevin McCarthy, questioned why 1 million American students had to face school closures at the beginning of 2022, despite a $120 billion federal funding specifically set aside to make sure public schools open safely for in-person instruction. Listen, okay, the unions got too powerful and far too corrupt, and we can't control them anymore. Oh, wait, fuck, I wasn't supposed to admit that? Shit. McCarthy and Fox wrote that Democrats argued radical spending was necessary for schools to reopen safely for in-person instruction, because the radical spending that was afforded by the Republicans and the American Rescue Plan, okay, wasn't enough beforehand, apparently. But data suggested only 4% of the relief funds were used for the vast majority of U.S. schools, and the rest went into the pockets of the bureaucrats in the fucking unions and all unions. Despite Democrats' claims to the contrary, these funds were not needed to reopen schools. No, 4% of it was. Let's be fair, okay? Because of this, some schools are grasping at any project they can on which to waste these taxpayer funds, including indoctrinating students and staff with racist and divisive ideologies. That's exactly what a domestic terrorist would say. You should watch your fucking mouth, because apparently those actions are definitely happening, and it's definitely spiking out there. But That's just what the Department of Justice says, even though the DHS, the guys who would actually have the numbers can't back it up at all whatsoever. Contradicting the DHS, DOJ repeats unfounded claim of rising school board violence. Wow! Assistant Attorney General Matthew Olson, awfully old for being an assistant, that sucks, said during a January 11th congressional hearing on domestic terrorism that there has been an increase in violence against educators, directly contradicting the Department of Homeland Security data. Fuck. The January 11th congressional hearing captured headlines due to Department of Justice officials refusing to answer question about Ray Epps. So I guess this was a little bit afterwards. We already talked about Ray Epps, the Fed. But Olson, the head of the DOJ's National Security Branch, also made unsupported claims about the rising school board violence. Olson was asked, or rather responding to questions from Chuck Grassley, about why Attorney General Merrick Garland is devoting counterterrorism resources to investigate protesting parents committing violence against school board members. As Attorney General's memo indicated, there has been an increase in violence and threats of violence against individuals who serve in positions of public trust, school board members, teachers, other public officials, and this is a serious concern. Statement contradicts reality. All right. The DHS counterterrorism coordinator, John Cohen, revealed this during a previous congressional hearing, November 3rd, responding to questions from Adam Schiff, who is still trying to peddle his Russiagate book, I'd imagine. Cohen said that the DHS hasn't seen any quantifiable evidence of a rise in death threats. Yeah, but what has changed since everything's been down? Oh, okay, schools are closed now, and no in-person school board meetings, so more threats are coming out? I don't get it. Nothing really makes sense. We did reach out to the state and local law enforcement. He said at the time, there has been some sporadic instances of violence at school board meetings and in educational facilities. However, the information that we received is that the state and local law enforcement were not seeing widespread action. Okay, so very localized events that don't really amount to much. Maybe some heated screaming or something, and some Karen decided to call the manager. Like, what are we doing here? DHS's official November statement came after Garland admitted in October that the evidence underpinning the claims of rising threats of violence was a letter from the National School Board Association sent to the Biden administration, a letter characterizing protest parents as domestic terrorism threats and calling the FBI to use statutes such as the Patriot Act. Of course, so that's the public school system taken care of. What about the university structure itself? Because, you can't leave them out. What kind of shady shit are they doing? Well, trying to offer extra credit for being vaccinated in a Florida university. This is super fucked, by the way. Professor's policy offering students extra credit for getting vaccinated quickly pulled by university after being contacted for comment. Interesting. If you were going to stand by this, why would you get rid of it? And why would there be receipts for it? An assignment details post by a Florida University professor that offered 10 extra credit points for students who got COVID-19 vaccines was quickly pulled by the university the day after being contacted by the Times. In a screenshot, the assignment details posted at 6:17 p.m. on January 10th by Professor Diana Taylor, always the case, for her introduction to leadership classes. Whatever. At the University of North Florida. Aha. See, this is happening in Florida because there is an explicit ban on forcing people to be vaccinated, which is exactly the right piece of legislation when it comes to vaccine mandates. It should be happening. Points were offered to students who could get vaccinations by midnight on April 30th, 2022. Yay, congratulations on doing the right thing. Cool. And obtaining your COVID vaccination. Taylor Post started. A leader is aware of the well-being of others, and the responsibilities of leadership have taken on an even deeper meaning in our colleagues' families and workforces find themselves in unfamiliar environment. How to say so much without saying a fucking thing. The statement concludes by saying, I'm so proud of your decision to vaccinate and mask up. Oh, exactly what a leader does. Fall in line with everybody else. should be shot. On January 12th, the Epoch Times reached out to Taylor about the offer of 10 extra credit points to find out whether the policy had been approved by the university. On January 13th, the Epoch Times received an email from Matthew Olson, PhD, director of Taylor Leadership Institute and associate professor in the Department of Leadership, School Counseling, and Sports Management. Oh my fucking God. Big enough title, my dude. And at the University of North Florida. There is the receipts, and she looks exactly like you'd expect her to. We received your request to speak to one of our adjunct part-time employees. Oh, that somehow mitigates the problem? Very funny. Regarding a particular extra credit activity, Olson's email read in part, "Please note that the activity in question has been changed to encourage our students to attend our student-led Taylor Talk," similar to TED Talks. Ugh, just as fucking cancerous, I'd imagine. "On March 25th, which is aligned with our core curriculum and leadership development activities." You're not addressing the elephant in the room, okay? Olson then offered to speak to the Times, confirming that Taylor's offer had not been sanctioned or approved by the university. But he couldn't write that down. God, that sucks. "It's not anything we sanctioned or supported, not only as an institute, but as a university." Yeah, because it flies directly in the face of one of the executive order. Well, actually, it's not even an executive order anymore. It's a piece of legislation passed by the Florida government. Fucking weird how that happens. The intent was around aligning with some of the university-based incentives in support of encouraging vaccines, which is great, I guess. But the activity was immediately changed to one of our events, Taylor Talks, which is much more aligned with our core curriculum, and you should just never ever go to the University of North Florida because they try to do this type of shit. Will this bitch end up getting fired? Well, she's an adjunct part-time employee, so, it's not like she teaches anything on a regular basis. Please don't check any of that out, of course. Her experience shows that she's been a part of the North Florida Taylor Leadership Institute for 23 years. Part-time adjunct professor. A second LinkedIn profile under the name Diane Dawood Taylor also confirms her status as a adjunct professor with the University of North Florida, and her profile also reveals she is a TED Talk coach for TEDx Jacksonville. Another review posted on Rate My Professor. Taylor is known for handing out easy credits with no expectations for attendance or completing assignments on time. All right, she's starting to get at least a little bit more reasonable in my books. Of the 6 reviews, 100% said that they would take her class again, and given her course an average of 2.2% rating in difficulty. It looks like it's 2 out of 10, let's be fair though. So yeah, she sounds like she's not that bad of a professor, but this is a really, really stupid fucking policy, which goddamn right. They caught one, okay? This is happening everywhere. Everywhere where it's not mandated on campus, okay? In a lot of fucking universities. This shit is happening in multiple other places around there. So make your voices heard if you end up getting one of these fucking persuasive offers, because this is coercion, and that's not something that a professor ought to be doing, because they'll just start with vaccines and then all of a sudden they'll start to get to weird butt stuff if given enough time. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.